Thank you.
Okay, I suggest we start. Let's not worry too much about it. We can live with all the AI note takers, I think. So, welcome everyone. I wanted to go through the outcomes of the convening, looking at the work streams for PI26 and a brief review of the roadmap. I don't think there's anything shocking. The roadmap is quite important though, because it gives context to the work streams. So I think I'll actually start with that if I may. Let me just share this. So this is the roadmap as available to you all now on the Mojaloop Product Council repo. Um, Updated as of 20th of November, so that's last week. If I zoom in a bit, we are still not quite clear whether we are going to be integrating version 17 and version 18 into a single release. I think Sam was quite upbeat yesterday that he will get ISO 222 into version 17. So we might push the version 18 release back a bit because the version 17 release is going to be a very big one, supporting FX and inter-scheme work streams, range of performance enhancements, maintenance fixes, also including on-premises support, merchant payments, and G2P support. It's a big release. There's a lot in there. There's the participate under pillar one, making adoption easier. The participation tools workstream is going to continue. We saw at the convening a great presentation from James Bush on the new low-cost integration capability, the integration toolkit implemented on a Raspberry Pi. This is exclusively for the use of very small DFSPs. So in the Rwanda context, for example, if you want SACCOs to join your Mojaloop switch, they could probably use the Raspberry Pi solution. Cheap, low maintenance, etc. is not suitable for larger institutions who want more control over their connection or more reliability. So they would probably want to use Payment Manager. Payment Manager is the next focus of the participation tools workstream. We're going to look at the adoption of Payment Manager by the Mojaloop Foundation and what we need to do to achieve that. I don't think it's a huge task, but it's just some formal steps we need to go through. Next work stream is led by Alan Kajengwe of Widen. It's all about participation tools specifically aimed at fintechs. And Alan is working with RSwitch and a range of other community members on the definition of that work stream and the work that needs to be done. I don't think Alan is on the call today. On deployments, the on-premises deployments workstream has completed its outputs. However, there's a lot of work still to be done in maintaining the deployment tools and DA reviews of the refactoring of the IAC, for example. It just needs some more polishing, I think. And then it goes into a maintenance mode from there and support for multiple deployment types. Dispute management is a new work stream. This is something that we've known for a while is a gap in the Mojaloop offering, and we want to close that gap. And Pramesh from RSwitch, who's just joined this call for the first time, has volunteered to lead that work stream. So welcome, Pramesh.
Thank you very much.
We did see a demonstration at the convening of the work that RSwitch have done on dispute management, and it was very impressive. We also are aware that the Tazama team has a dispute management tool in progress as an open source offering. So I think that this workstream should look at both the RSwitch work and the Tazama work and come up with a a a deployment independent dispute management offering that can be included as part of a modular deployment. Next one is PISP version 2.0. This has been lingering on the roadmap for quite some time, loitering, shall we say. It's never actually made much progress beyond the initial definition. However, both Michael Richards and Paul Baker were quite keen to restate the importance of this piece of work, and that it is going to become urgent quite soon, and it might actually be an important element for the participation tools for fintechs workstream as well. So it needs refactoring at the ITK in the hub, and just updating it to the PISP API 2.0. So that's become a higher priority. The payments addressing workstream is something that we've been talking about for some time. It's taking over from the merchant payments workstream, but it's not just focused on merchant payments. This workstream is going to be a collaboration with Glyph, so looking at LEIs for payments addressing specifically for business P2B or P2M payments, but also looking at cross-border merchant payments as well. And in fact, this workstream is going to have a wider remit, not just focused on merchant payments, but on the payments addressing generally, particularly in a cross-border environment. This will be led by Claire Rowley from Glyph and by Aranje Katakam, who has been long interested in the payments addressing implications. So that I expect to result in some form of POC, probably within this PI. We had a long discussion before the convening about bulk payments and the need to refactor our current solution. It works perfectly well as is, but it's not very democratic in that it tends to favor large DFSPs as the instigators of any form of bulk payments. And it goes against some of the level 1 principles. So we need to refactor it to be more level 1 compliant, and also to just provide an overall, I suppose you could call it a cleaner solution. So but we're not going to start that straight away. I don't expect that workstream to start until the middle of the PI. Simply due to other pressures. Foreign exchange, that workstream has completed in terms of what COMESA needs. However, it only really supports one particular business model. So it needs to be extended further to support other business models. And that will require work both at the ITK and also at the hub. So that will come in the coming months. It's probably not going to start instantly, because what's there at the moment is adequate for COMESA. But we do need to keep in mind that foreign exchange is not yet complete for all potential future deployments. So it's not a huge amount of work, just needs a bit of extension, that's all. Similarly, the inter-scheme work stream, which came to an end at the end of the last PI, is again adequate for the COMESA deployment, but it's not. It needs extending further for more general inter-scheme connections. So modular connections into TCIB and Nexus, and also potentially to the various COMESA countries' domestic IPSs. That work needs still to be done. And so we need that work stream in place here. But again, it's not something that is going to start straight away, because COMESA has other priorities for the moment. ISO 222, that work is largely complete, and it has been thoroughly tested, and it's going to be integrated into either the version 17 or version 18 release. It was a late finisher for the last PI, which is why there was some question about the V17 incorporation. But it is assumed that it will require refinement, as it is tested out in the real world. So we have a work stream here simply to review any changes that are needed and potentially implement them. So again, that's still on the roadmap. I hope you're getting the flavor here that although there's a lot of work streams here, a lot of them are either starting late or they're not massively intensive work streams. Moving on to the core product. First, there's Next-Gen Settlement, otherwise known as Settlement version 3, and Tiger Beetle integration into vNow. This has become a priority because we've had some issues and delays with the vNext implementation, and I'll come to that later. So we have this work stream where Tiger Beetle have actually agreed to provide development effort on this to integrate it into Moduloop. And so there's two parts to this. First of all, it's going to change the way that transactions work in terms of the ledger. And so we're going to adopt the Tiger Beetle model for this. And to me, that seems wholly positive. But that has the potential to increase the performance to at least an order of magnitude if we do it right, at least fingers crossed. But also, Michael Richards and James and the Tiger Beetle team are also talking about settlement being integrated into the Tiger Beetle implementation, which will take some of the load off the hub and also, but it will require significant re-engineering in how settlements are managed at the hub. So that's exciting and a great opportunity, but a lot of work there, and this is not expected to happen until probably the end of the next PI, frankly. So PI 27 rather than this current PI. Time zone localization, that's interesting piece of work. We are probably not going to see precisely what's happening with that because the people who are carrying out that work, frankly, have gone AWOL. I keep on trying to get in touch with them, and I'm not getting any response from any of the team. So that's still here, but I can't really give you an update because the team aren't talking to me for some reason. But we'll address that, no problem. Next is a new workstream entirely called Moduloop Evolution. We have had, if I can just stop sharing my screen for a moment. I just want to make a couple of comments about that before we go on. Yeah, we've had some problems with the vNext, implementation, and I just want to say a few things about that. We have had a commitment for a long time to enhance vNext to become a potential release candidate, to become the next release of Moduloop. But we've had a lot of problems with that. We developed a list of tasks that we would need to do. And we did this with various members of the community, identifying the tasks to bring it up to the capabilities of what we were calling the vNow platform. So met our coding standards, met our essentially test standards, etc., etc. And that was fine. We had a prioritized list. We also needed the new functionalities. So we had FX and Interscheme and ISO 222, which would need to be migrated over to vNext. So that was fine. We had a plan for that, but it was a big plan. A lot of work needed doing. But we've had some problems. We've had resource constraints. We've had no resources over the past few months, though DitsaWorks have provided partial support, particularly in developing some of the test coverage, for example. The Tiger Beetle team, they got in touch with us, expressing interest in integrating their work with vNow, which came as a surprise, but it's very welcome. They want to help. But Tiger Beetle was one of the key new features for vNext. It was one of the reasons for going down the vNext path. So if they're integrating it with vNow, then that takes away one of the requirements. We also had an issue with PCH. PCH were one of the principal adopters of vNext. However, they've developed an implementation that will not meet the merge loop standards, and they've decided to fork. So they have their own platform, no longer called merge loop. It's based on the vNext code base, but it means that the work that they do, we cannot integrate it back into merge loop, and they're not going to contribute anything towards merge loop. So we have decided, therefore, to list to take the engineering outputs and the lessons learned from vNext and integrate that directly into the vNow implementation. We're not going to do it in a big bang. We're going to do it in a managed, phased approach, and we will be actively seeking resources to support this effort. So if I can just go back to the roadmap. Bear in mind, I can't see your comments at the moment, because I'll come back to them later. So that's this particular work stream. So this is integrating the engineering outputs of the vNext program. There's a lot of good work in the vNext program, and we don't want to lose it. So we want to integrate it into vNow at an early stage. So we're going to be actively seeking support in that. Performance optimization work stream. This work stream is one that's been going on for some time. We have work outstanding to develop a performance baseline, if you like. So we are seeking to acquire a set of on-premise hardware, probably consisting of a single rack with four servers in it, and use that to develop a performance baseline, a minimum performance, if you like, and see what performance we can get from a merge loop deployment based on that hardware. We will then look at other deployments and see what performance they're achieving, and essentially look to develop a model of the performance that you might expect from a particular deployment based on hardware that you have chosen and a deployment plan you've chosen. Out of that, we're hoping to produce a white paper, probably by the end of this PI. However, performance optimization is likely to be a work stream that carries on forever. Core and releases work stream. This is being led by Sam. Sam is managing the whole release process. He now has a slightly larger team to support him in that, which is very welcome. And his next task is to produce the version 17 release, which we are expecting any day now, honest. And then we have the platform quality and security, which again is Sam's piece of work, and he has a lot of work to do that. He was very successful in the last PI, developing the software bill of materials. Now we want to use that SBOM and integrate it into our release strategy as well. Then we have the strategic work streams, cross-border, payments addressing, ISO 222 for open banking, and stablecoins for settlement. These are discussion groups where we try and gauge the temperature of the outside world, where these subjects are going, and we feed them back into the technical work streams. So although it looks imposing, I would argue that there are not that many intensive work streams here. Probably the biggest, most intensive ones are going to be dispute management, the payments addressing, next-gen settlement, and merge loop evolution, and maybe performance optimization. Core and releases, platform quality and security are always high-pressure ones, and Sam bears that pressure for us. So thank you, Sam. I'm going to move on from this and move to a summary. Yeah. So this is my summary page of the, let me just move that to display version. There we are. So I hope you can see this. I have all of these new work streams down the side. As you'll notice, most of them have the hollow circle, which essentially means that particular aspect hasn't been completed. These work streams that are continuing from the past have at least some element of the circle filled in on the left-hand side. The new work streams are entirely blank, as you can see. The comments down the side are essentially a summary of what I've just been saying. You'll be able to access this, I feel like a dashboard directly from the product council Slack channel. I'll put a link in it later on today. The key is the a filled in circle means complete, half circle in progress, not yet begun is the empty circle, and not applicable is grey. Grey, the not applicable ones essentially are work streams that are expected to continue forever. So they don't have an end point. They will always be with us. So the summary of this is as follows. For each work stream, I've listed the work stream lead. And I've created Slack. If they didn't exist already, I've created Slack channels for each work stream, and I have invited all of the workstream leads into the appropriate Slack channels. I'm hoping to get a meeting schedule and from each of you. I'll be trying to get that from you over the next week. Where I know them already, I've put them in this spreadsheet, and I've also pinned it into the appropriate Slack channel. And also we need to know the meeting link. So that's space for a Zoom link or whatever you want to use. And if you let me know, I'll stick it in there. I'm also going to pin it into the Slack channel. So first thing I think is any comments on all of that? Is there anything you want me to go back to and show again?
Yeah, on localizations, it seemed to be a very low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Is there any challenge they're having? Probably one can chip in and we finish this.
Yeah. Yeah, the workstream lead is Lewis at Probase. Philip Green is the local G2M representatives. Philip, can you say something about this?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yes. Have you been in contact with Lewis at Probase? Do you know what the problem is? Why we're not progressing and why he's not talking to me?
I haven't heard. I have been in contact with them. I haven't heard of them, I guess, getting contacted by you. But to be honest, I've had very brief communications with them. I guess they have been looking at the localization changes, but they haven't known, like, I guess, how to set up an environment to test them.
Okay. So they need access to an environment that they can use for testing, either deployed in their own premises or in the cloud somewhere. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. And basically I've asked them to reach out to Nathan and Sam to just to go over that and see how they can do that.
Sure. I mean, Nathan would seem to be your man here, definitely.
Yeah, I think they had expected to use our Zambian sort of proof of concept installation, but that's actually like a kind of like a UAT or production mirror instance. So it's not for people testing the
not for development. No. No, if you're doing development, you need your own. Most definitely. Yeah. Yes. Nathan or Sam, can I ask one of you to reach out to Lewis on this, please?
Sure, Paul, I can reach out here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Does anyone have any other comment on this? Actually, I'm going to show this again. There's one other aspect I wanted to talk about. And that's really, I think if I go back to actually the presentation I gave at the convening. Steve, go ahead.
Well, the one thing I wanted to mention, Paul, is, I mean, obviously there was a lot of Modular Foundation folks here on this call and also in leading work streams. Is there anything that we can do to help you make sure that you get, and maybe it's just that it looks that way here, but is there anything we can do to help make sure that you're getting more support from other community members into these work streams?
Yeah, I was hoping that we get more people here today. These are the work that I think most of the established work streams, they have representation already. I'm not too worried about that. It's these new work streams that we really need volunteers for. We have work stream leads, but we need development effort. In particular, I'd like to make sure that Promes gets support on the dispute management piece, for example. I'd like somebody to work with us on somebody with some core knowledge to help refactoring bulk payments, for example. So the dispute management piece that's probably a good place to start for relatively new members to the community. Refactoring bulk payments, that's where we need somebody who has extensive experience of the hub and the ITK. But there are lots of places where people can provide support. I would say that next-gen settlement and Tiger Beetle integration, we leave that to the people who've been involved in the core for a long time. That's like getting into the deep, dark fundamentals of motor loop. So I tend to leave that one well alone. On payments addressing, there's an initial phase now where Arranger and Claire need to define their objectives, and then we can come back and perhaps look for seek development support from that point on. But yeah, anything that anyone can do to help support this. Oh, there's one here that isn't there at the moment, that on this slide, but where we really need help, and that's the motor loop evolution. So, as a starting point, the portals within the vNext environment, I'd love to see somebody helping us port those over to what we were calling vNow, because they're great portals. They just need redirecting to the vNow hub. So anyone willing to help with that, and I think I'd probably look towards the Works team to try and help that if that was at all possible. And Steve, I saw your message about Arranger working on payments addressing. He's always agreed. He's already agreed to be joint lead on that one. So, yeah, that's already agreed.
I guess then he's not here, right?
No,
between you, me, Julie, Michael, like let's just stay on him. I know he wants to be involved, but getting him in the room is I think whatever we can do, because I'd love to have him actually lead that.
Yeah, I mean, Claire is an important person to be on that as obviously the Glyph representative, but I don't want that to just focus on the Glyph agenda, which is why I want Arranger involved. So he's able to broaden it from there. I know he's a busy guy, but he has already committed to devoting time to this. So hopefully that'll work, and I will be talking to Arranger regularly about this. So we'll see how that goes. Initially, let's get the objectives sorted out and see where we take it from there. So that's the kind of support we need here. First of all, There's people who understand the vNext portals and would be willing to adapt them to vNow. That's one area where it would be great if we could get help. There's payments addressing implementation and dispute management, which are probably great places for relatively new members of the community to assist. And I'd like from us to get some good support in that area. Refactoring bulk payments, so somebody who has some reasonable understanding and working with the Motion Core and the ITK, we would welcome help there. So there's like 3 levels of technical assistance we need here. So if there's anyone either on this call or if you know other members of the community who haven't turned up today, and you feel they'd be able to help, then please reach out to me or the Workstream lead, or just go to the appropriate Slack channel, and I'll be pinning that directory of Slack channels to the Product Council Slack channel later today. Is there any other comment? So, as you can see, we have a lot of work streams this time around, but don't believe that we are overloading this time, because, as I say, some are delayed, some are quite moderate in the effort required, and there are probably 3 or 4 really high pressure work streams there, and I think that's appropriate for a PI, to be honest with you. Does anyone have any general comments about that statement, for example? No? Okay, well, I think I've got off lightly, apart from the lack of volunteers for work streams. But you don't feel you have to volunteer in this forum. You can always reach out to me directly. I think you all know how to reach me. And fine, I hope to hear from some of you soon. So unless there are any other comments, I'll close the call. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks very much.
Bye now.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.